Dale Not Dale Podcast.
What's up, Vaughn? We are on air.
We are on air. You know what I was thinking? We got a comment on YouTube about not YouTube. It was from Instagram from our podcast hater, but good friend, Jeff Romack.
We love Jeff Romack.
Jeff Romack is great, but Jeff Romack, I just have to let you know, Jeff Romack, we're back.
Jeff hates it. Dude, Jeff started trolling me on like social media, and then I snap back, say stuff back to him. And now we just have a friendship. We just talk, and
he's coming on the podcast.
He's a big hater of yours, which I love.
No, and you know what? That's fine. Honestly, it's easy to hate on those that you're jealous of.
That's it. Jeffrey is jealous of your inflection of "we're back."
Well, yes, he's jealous of the way I can be I can be a baritone and I can be an alto.
Hey, as much as he hates on us, he listens every week. So I got to give Jeff I got to give him the shout out.
Yeah,
and him hearing his name, I hope he's pissed.
Yeah, well,
because we've outed him. The next episode, we're saying his address.
The thing is he doesn't understand how much I appreciate him.
Yeah,
that's the thing. Sometimes you got to show love through anger.
I know, man. We're gonna love him through it.
Yeah, we are, and we're gonna get him on the podcast. We're gonna talk about it. What's it like to be the Dale Not Dale internet troll that loves us?
So if you listened last week, we survived the cartel.
We did.
I didn't have to shoot Vaughn.
You didn't.
And so this week, man, we got a guest on that I'm very pumped about. One thing, two, he's a cool dude. I've been following him for a little while now, about a year. But I heard about him on a little show called Joe Rogan Experience.
Oh, Joe Rogan Experience.
And we got him on our show, which is pretty awesome.
I mean, pretty much we're kind of like the Joe Rogan Experience.
Same thing. We're the Del.
I mean, we share guests.
We're the Del Bro Experience.
Yes, absolutely. Del Bro's Coffee.
But the cool thing is, like I said, man, he has a cookbook that came out. I bought after hearing him on Joe Rogan. I messaged him back and forth. He follows me. We've talked on there. He's got some restaurants. Vaughn doesn't know much about him except what I sent. So Vaughn will be able to get some questions from a fresh set of eyes, which is cool. He does do something. I'm just gonna tease this. He does do something that you want to learn how to do. And he's a chef, so you're not gonna even kind of guess that. But so I'm excited to get him on. I'll tee that up whenever he's on here, so we can talk about it.
He wants to learn how to be an ice skater?
He does.
Oh,
Triple
man.
axel.
Oh, I love that.
So he's gonna be on. We got him on today. He's in LA. We can't have him here, but maybe one day we can meet in person, share some of his good food.
Yes.
But we're gonna have Mr. Daniel Holzman, Chef Daniel Holzman.
Chef Daniel.
So if you don't know the guy, make sure you check him out. He's got a book called Food IQ. I believe he may have wrote another book prior, but he's got that book, super cool. And he's got some restaurants. He's got some restaurants where you can order some merch. He's got his pizzeria in LA. He's got his meatball shops in New York, where he's from, New York. And so it's cool, man.
Have you ever known anybody that didn't like meatballs?
No.
Have you ever known anybody that didn't like pizza?
No.
I know of one kid who doesn't like pizza.
Who's that?
Well, I don't want to say her name. Nobody you know.
Okay. But she don't like pizza?
She doesn't like pizza, but she makes up for it for being an incredibly good kid. Okay. So I look past it.
I'm not dude, I do like pizza. I haven't ate it in a while being on keto.
Yeah.
But I would go crush some pizza right now.
I would too. I would absolutely. So if we go to a place,
you ever eat Bada Bing?
Bada Bing's phenomenal.
That's probably my favorite pizza place around here.
As long as there's no pineapple on it.
Yeah, no, I'm not about that life either. But maybe we should ask Daniel about that. I don't know. We didn't. We probably should ask him some stuff about pizza, but we'll see. We never know where this is going to go. But we're excited to have him on. Dude is he's got a following. He's been all over the place. He's had a lot of media coverage, and then been on Joe Rogan to promote his book, which is awesome. And that's how I found him, and that's how he's going to be on here with us today. So
yeah,
It's pretty neat.
We need to see if he has Good Ranchers deliver.
Dude, he's a chef. He's in LA. Maybe tough to get. I mean, the cost of the cost of living over there is high.
Yeah.
So maybe him jumping on Good Ranchers, using our code DND Pod.
Yep.
Save him $20 off his order.
Mm-hmm.
And then he can take advantage of the free bacon with his order. I mean, there's all kind of stuff he can get with Good Ranchers.
Yeah, and Good Ranchers is inflation proof, so he doesn't have to worry about that.
It is. And it's American meat delivered.
Yes, real American meat delivered.
Yeah, the cool thing is if you want to know where your food's coming from and you want to know that it's coming from local ranches across the United States,
Mm-hmm.
Good Ranchers is the place to get it from.
Yeah, they do good cows. Good meat, good cows, good fishes.
Yeah, good fishies.
Good chickens.
Good chickens. Good porkies.
Good pigs.
Yeah, so Good Ranchers, like I said, another shout out to them guys. They're our new show presenter. This is the Dale Not Dale podcast presented by Good Ranchers. So we're excited, man. The month of March is still in full effect, so that means March Meatness is still in full effect. So make sure to check out Good Ranchers. Stay tuned for a good episode. We're gonna have Chef Daniel Holzman on, man. I'm excited.
I am too. Let's get him in here.
Let's get him from the lobby
From the lobby
into our studio
and
virtually.
We will seat him.
Let's see if we can cook up.
Yeah. Let's see what we can cook
with
up.
the old chef.
I bet this thing's going to be fire.
Dude, I like it.
Yeah. You think he'll grill us?
No. I like that one.
Yeah.
I don't know any more food puns. I can't think of any, so I'm hungry. So let's get this episode started.
All right. Let's get this let's get this episode started so we can be cooking with grease.
Let's do it.
And now a quick word from our sponsor.
March Meatness is here, and you can win over $2,000 of free meat with Good Ranchers this month. No, you're not dreaming. This is a real thing. All you have to do is head to goodranchers.com/March and sign up today. When the time comes, you will fill out your March Meatness bracket, and if yours is the best, then you win free meat for a year from Good Ranchers. And their meat is 100% American, absolutely delicious, and steakhouse quality, so you want to win this. Bon, that's not where the month's madness ends, though. You can subscribe any day this month and get free bacon for a year added to your order. Pick the box of 100% American meat you want, get free bacon, and if your bracket wins, it'll be free for the next year. If you don't win, you still get 24 ounces of bacon free with every order, free shipping, and guaranteed 100% American meat delivered to your door. Sounds like a win-win to me.
If you needed even more to push you over the edge, with our code DNDPOD, you can get an additional $20 off your first order. A chance to win $2,000 of free meat, free bacon, and $20 off. You need to head to goodranchers.com today, sign up and fill out your bracket, subscribe to claim the free bacon, and use our code DNDPOD for $20 off the best meat and seafood America has to offer today. Visit goodranchers.com/March for your chance to win over $2,000 of delicious meat and seafood today and claim your free bacon as well. Goodranchers.com and use the code DNDPOD at checkout.
Uncle Dale and Vaughn with stories to unfold. So sit back, relax, and behold. We discussing life and all its ups and downs. Tune in from your side of town. Talking pop cultures, movies, and TV shows. Giving the thoughts and much more. This shit is style, clothes, and gadgets galore. Keeping you entertained, you'll be begging for more. Cause we gon' laugh and hey, maybe even crying. But one thing's for sure, you'll be smiling. Cause Uncle Dale and Vaughn are at your side. So come along, join, and let's ride.
They bring the heat, and the guests are supreme. They ain't just a duo.
What's up, Chef Daniel Holzman?
Chef Daniel Holzman.
Did I say that
I like
right?
the ring of that. Yeah, I love the ring of that. Sounds great.
That's what we've been calling you all week. Dude, are you
It's
excited
working.
to talk with Chef Daniel Holzman? I'm like, yeah.
Well, hell yeah.
CDH is popular, man. We got to talk to this guy.
Good. You hear us fine?
I hear you loud and clear. The two of you sound like you're in the room with me. It sounds like we're sitting on the couch.
Perfect.
drinking a cup of coffee or a beer, one of those two.
Yeah, hey, we'll do it all, dude.
Yeah.
So
Maybe four loco.
dude.
Are those? You know, those went illegal at one time in Texas.
Yeah, they're illegal everywhere because it's like a Red Bull vodka for kids. It's terrible.
Oh, I love it. I wish it was around. I wish in my early drinking days it was around because I would have got ripped. We were drinking Everclear like real degenerates.
Yeah, well, it was like that, but like pure caffeine. I think it was like, PCP. People were like tearing the doors off cop cars, wiling out.
I do that and I don't even drink or do drugs.
Perfect.
Yeah, perfect. Hey man, it's an honor to have you. I know we connected sometime last year, man. Actually, so for those who don't know, you're chef from East Coast. Now you're in the West Coast on a couple of restaurants. We'll get into that. I heard you on Rogan one morning. I've been listening to Rogan for years, and I like to cook, so me and Vaughn both we cook quite a bit, and so when I heard your episode, man, I like hearing about it. I instantly bought your book while I listened to it on Amazon.
Wow, I appreciate that.
And so I bought it that morning. I drive like early for work. I was driving, bought it. I think I got it the next day or something like that. That's when I tagged you when I got it. Then that's whenever we connected from there, and it's been magic ever since then. For us.
Well, I really appreciate that. Like you spend all the time writing a cookbook takes a lot of time, and if you do it right, and I just never ever thought anybody would ever cook for, like the first time I wrote a cookbook, I was like, there was a mushroom gravy recipe that had like twice too much salt in it. And I got a couple of people message me right away. And I thought, like, I never felt so good to make a mistake in my life. I was like, someone actually cooked this and figured it out. That was amazing. And then I promptly we got a second edition out.
If it would have tasted good, they're not going to say anything to you.
Yeah.
Never hear a thing.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. So the way you explained it was really cool. For those, the book's called Food IQ, and I told Vaughn about it. I haven't showed him, but the cool thing is the concept, man. It just taught you a lot. I read a lot of it, just all the things about how to cook and do things a certain way. That was very intriguing to me because you learned a lot.
I just feel like you spend you as a chef, your kind of main job is teaching folks how to cook, and I don't know. Most cookbooks either assume you already know how to cook, or they don't go deep enough into what's really going on, so you don't actually understand the concept behind it. So, like for my buddy Matt Rodbard and I wrote this book together, and it came from like people constantly, texting or emailing or calling me and saying, "Hey, I got a piece of salmon. How should I cook it?" And me thinking like, all the cookbooks. I have a huge cookbook collection. All the cookbooks I have they've got these amazing recipes in them, but you're kind of stuck on the recipe and you don't know what I can change and how to kind of be more creative in the kitchen yourself. So the idea for us was, let's try and write a little article that explains what's really going on, and then have a recipe that really illustrates and gives some deeper understanding, so that when you go in the supermarket and you're like, why are there 3 different types of olive oil, all different prices? Like, which one is good for what? Why, is it worth it? You can really understand and then make choices for yourself. So you don't have to like always rely on, there's so many great resources out there. You can just kind of always just, you got New York Times cooking. That's all you need. Never buy my book again.
No, we're going to cancel that so everybody has to buy your book.
Yeah, there we go. No, like I said, that's the cool thing. There's so many nuances to cooking, and like I said, you break it down because, like I said, I guess that is true. You don't think about people make cookbooks thinking that you know how to cook, but my wife don't know how to cook. If she just took your recipe and tried to cook something, it'd be a disaster. Like,
I'm sorry for that.
No, dude, I'm telling you.
If the person that reached out to you about the salmon reached out to my wife, she would just say, "Oh, you just put it in the microwave for 45 seconds."
Microwave's great. 45 seconds sounds a little undercooked. I'd be concerned about that. I'd add some salt.
But sushi, I mean, come on.
Yeah, 100%. Warm sushi.
Warmed up salmon.
Warm sushi, yeah. No, for the winter.
It's like a lobster roll, but not cooked.
Yeah, a little butter.
Yeah. So man, how'd you get your start, man? Like I said, being like, I know some actual chefs as well. I've grew up, my mom and dad cooked and I was cooking at an early age. So like, kind of what started you like on your path, man?
I think most of us in the restaurant industry, it wasn't like a clear career path from the beginning. You know, you kind of find your way into a job that you fall in love with, or you're not good at anything else. And so it sticks. For me, as a young, like 13 years old, I was delivering pizza from pizzeria across the street, and then working in kitchens as a delivery boy, working in restaurants as a delivery boy in New York City. And the guys in the kitchen, they were like, you know, tattoos and fire, and they were cool. And and I thought, like, I want to hang out with those guys. And I started working in the kitchen. And then a friend of mine, her father was a maitre d' of a fancy restaurant. He saw me in the kitchen and was like, you know, I want to bring you in to meet the chef. This French guy. It's pretty great. He was getting a haircut. The French, they don't pronounce their H's, so he was getting an haircut. That's what he said. He was like, "You're lucky I was getting an haircut because you were late." I'm like,
Yes.
so sorry, but he gave me a job, and that was it. It stuck. People give you, like, as a young person, you know, when you get positive feedback, it's really strong.
Yeah.
And I was you know, the idea that I was working and I was young and working in this fancy restaurant, people really, it felt good. Felt good. Still does.
Yeah. So I guess you kind of got the respect from working in that restaurant.
Yeah. And I really didn't know what I was doing, you know, and you just kind of learn. I was learning like memorizing, you know, like the moves, but I didn't really put it all together for years and years. But I stuck with it, and I tried to do some other things. But there's something about the kitchen's like a pirate ship. It's like, it's fun. You get to be yourself.
Yeah.
It's fast, and you get to try. There are just very few jobs where over and over and over again you just get to complete a task. It's like, I worked in an office and I felt like I never did anything, like nothing ever. I never saw anything actually get done. Yeah. And in the kitchen, I'm like, you know, you go in, you go in the walk-in, you get all the stuff, you chop it up, you cook it, you feed the people, you get the money, and then you like go home, you're tired. Yeah. You feel like you accomplished something. And you're like, God. And if you messed up, you get to do it again. It's like every 2 minutes you get a new deadline to meet. It's kind of fun.
I guess that's a good point, because like I'm pretty ADD about everything I do, but in the kitchen, like when we cooking, dude, it is like I'm on task. It's probably because I love it, but I'm on task, and like, yeah, with my regular work, I got like irons in the fire that it seems like never get finished. But in the kitchen, you got to finish if you're gonna eat, you know, especially cooking for yourself.
You are driven in the kitchen. You don't stop doing anything. It's the only time you're ever silent. It's a good thing.
There's like some history. There's some history in America that started back in the 40s and 50s with World War II, and basically people stopped learning how to cook, and it wiped out like 3 generations of institutional knowledge, like our grandmas, our moms, we didn't learn how to cook. And if you don't have the people to learn from, this is a hands-on, you know, as we said, you don't learn how to cook from a cookbook. The internet helps because the videos can get you somewhere now. Yeah. But like, if you want to learn to cook, you have to learn from somebody. Right. And when all that is wiped out and there's no one to learn from, it puts us in a tough spot. And today, more people want to cook than ever before. It's like now it's popular, but fewer people know how to cook. It's challenging. It's such a great gift you give yourself. Like, you eat. So, you know, the last few years where everybody was stuck inside, no one was allowed to leave their house. All the restaurants were closed. You know, everybody I knew was like miserable, food wise, specifically and particularly. And I was like,
you were living it up.
Oh my God. My best friend is a chef, and he got stuck. He was traveling. He got stuck in my house, and we were just like, you know, we were like, the corona isn't going to get us, but the cardiac arrest is coming. It's coming for us.
It's a great way to go, though.
Yeah. I think that was a good thing for me. Like during COVID, dude, I was experimenting and cooking a lot. Just 'cause I had time, and I would just get things. I was just trying a ton of new stuff because I had all day to do it, you know. So there's no time crunch from getting off of work and trying to cook, you know.
If you just learn, I mean, if someone just knew how to cut an onion, for instance, like just the smallest knife skills, they go so far, you know. Makes like a chore turns in, you know, you cook dinner for yourself. It takes 20 minutes. It's easy. It's cheap. It's delicious. It's, you know, healthy. It's all the stuff that you want it to be. restaurants are expensive and it's challenging. I don't know. I'm very glad for it, and I wish that I wish that more, I wish more people would be as passionate as I am. I'm into it. I like it.
The hardest part about cooking in my family is not the cooking part itself. It's the finding what to cook. I mean, we got a solid 6 hours into thinking what we're going to have for dinner, and then we end up door dashing.
Yeah. Well, by that time you're talking breakfast.
Yeah.
He's like, it's 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
He's debating what to have for dinner.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this guy doesn't drink.
Yeah.
I know. I guess I need to start again.
I feel like we talk actually a little bit about that in the cookbook, a little bit about how to, like, when I look at a menu or I look at what I've got in the refrigerator, there's certain things that just go together. And like, it's kind of like once you figure that out, everything falls into place. There's certain ingredients that work well together, and certain ingredients like olive oil and soy sauce don't go well together. It's like kind of obvious because like one is from, one part of the world to another, and there is like a real simple, like if it grows together, goes together kind of mantra that works for the most part. But like, if you don't know that olive oil and soy sauce don't work together, you're off to a bad start. You can really screw up whatever you're cooking. So once you kind of understand that, it really narrows your choices down. Like you're like, okay, this is the stuff I have, or this is the stuff that looks good in the supermarket. So, from there, I can kind of figure out what my choices are more limited.
Right.
Yeah.
So my daughter, she's 12. She's in a culinary class at school, and which is cool. And then they actually have she like an executive chef. She was once an executive chef. Now she turned teacher. She's teaching them culinary, and so like she came in mid-year from a teacher that was like wouldn't let them do anything in the kitchen. Just say, "Oh, you're gonna learn from the books." The new teacher came in. She's like, "Hey, books are out the window. We're gonna get to cooking." What would you recommend for young kids like wanting to get out there to learn? What do you recommend for them?
I mean, if your parents are willing to cook with you, my mom, we cooked a lot together, and my mom, she was an intrepid cook. She did not learn to cook from her mother. She taught herself, and mostly it was just cooking dinner for and with us. And so, if you're able to spend the time with your kids cooking, the best way to learn is obviously just doing it, right? Yeah. And the thing that I do recommend, you joke about like, putting the salmon in the microwave and that's it. But I feel like people overcomplicate things and then they don't know what they did right or wrong because there are too many variables. So like, when someone says I got a piece of salmon to cook, I say, put some salt and put it in the oven. Like that's it. Olive oil, salt in the oven. Now you're like, it could either be too greasy or not greasy enough, too salty or not salty enough, or overcooked or undercooked. Like pretty easy for anybody to figure one of those out.
Yeah.
But if you start adding multiple ingredients and then something goes wrong, it's very hard to understand where we went wrong. So I think especially with kids, keep it super simple. And they'll be surprised at how easy it is. And then the reward goes, does the rest, right? Keeps them going.
What is so in the restaurant industry, we talk about chef and a cook. Is there a defining difference between the two?
So like, it's not, I think people interchange a lot of the terminology and there's no like, I'm sure there's a definition in Webster's, but basically the chef is the band leader, the boss, the person that's, the conductor, as it were, and then the cooks are the people that are physically. Now, if there's a really big kitchen, it might be a little easier to see because the chef is standing there, doing quality control. The chef generally is designing the menu and developing the actual dishes, and then the cooks are assembling and putting them together on a day-to-day basis, right? So the chef is kind of the creative force, and the manager, and then the cooks are the hourly workers,
executing the plan.
Yeah. So they're so the chef is the creator, and then the cooks are the people who follow the recipe.
Yeah, there's like the brigade system, which is the French kind of like system for the, where you've got like You've got basically stations in the kitchen that do different, whether it's like I'm the saute guy or the deep fry guy. And then you've got, usually the person that's physically doing it. And then there'll be like a sous chef or like an underboss, middle management.
Yeah.
Which is a bad job. And then, paid less, work harder. And those folks are the kind of managing all the way up. And the chef might be there's like a chef de cuisine who's the like day-to-day working boss, and then the executive chef whose name's on the menu makes the money and hopefully doesn't have to do too much. So I'm working on it. Getting there.
Have you been on any cooking shows yet? Like far as like, a food channel, thing like that?
Yeah.
Food Network?
I did a bunch of, so we opened this restaurant called Meatball Shop in New York years ago. My partner, Michael Chernow, and I, we opened this restaurant, and it was really, really like popular, successful, kind of like cool restaurant. And we got a lot of like attention from Food Network folks, and we did a bunch of those shows, and we did a lot of like late night TV, which was fun.
Okay.
And I competed on some of the Food Network shows, and I've done some judging. I was really into it. I really wanted, that was like a real goal. It's such a cool thing to get to do. And then obviously it's great for the restaurants, but it really takes you away from the kitchen a lot. And this time around at the pizzeria, I opened this pizzeria a few years ago, and it's hard. I just said, I'm not going to do anything that takes me away from being in the restaurant and getting to actually do the thing that I love doing.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to do less of it, and also I'm not a great like fast challenge competitor. If you're like, you got 10 minutes, Fruit Loops, sushi, make it. And I'm like, it just doesn't work for me.
Suck it, Bobby Flay.
I went on, oh my God. I went on beat Bobby Flay, and I failed. I did not beat Bobby Flay. It was terrible.
I was going to ask you that, but I didn't know if you had been on there. I didn't know.
So what'd you have to cook?
So the first time around I go on beat Bobby Flay, I was a judge. And there was this, I don't know what he was making. He was making it was a taco challenge, and one dude made these Korean inspired tacos. And one guy made this like sweet tacos that were really did not taste very good at all. And this other guy, I don't know. Either way, basically, and they had the sweet tacos that didn't taste that good. They had this pomegranate juice on them. It was like a pomegranate molasses thing. I was like, oh, this is terrible. And then they, we go out, we go to like, we all confirm, we all decide, who's going to win, who's not, the judges. And then we're supposed to say it in front of the competitors, and they all show up in front of us. And lo and behold, there's a Korean dude, or like, who did the Korean. I'm like, well, that guy did the Korean taco. The other guy was like, and then there's Bobby Flay, and he's standing there, and his hands are dyed red. Oh man, before they like interview, they talk, and I've just been trashing these tacos. I'm like, this is amateur garbage, embarrassing. I was like, and there's Bobby Flay, and I'm like, ooh. And you got to understand that, first of all, Bobby Flay is like the nicest guy in the world. Second of all, he's hyper talented. Like, there's a lot of culinary people on the TV that are like, good TV personalities, but aren't great cooks. Yeah. He's a super talented chef and an extraordinarily nice guy, and I just trashed him. So like, this is terrible. And then like a couple weeks after the episode, I get a call that's like, "You want to compete?" And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Now, and he just crushed me. He just crushed me. Like, I deserve it.
What dish did he beat you with?
It was a cod. Yeah, sweet tacos, pomegranate tacos. It was a cod. I had to cook some kind of piece of cod, and I think they said I didn't put enough salt, or I don't know. I just I'm not a great. I'm great at talking trash, not a great competitor.
Oh man,
I'll tell you how to do it, but
how stressful are those shows? I mean, is it that time crunch like it should? I mean, I've been on reality TV. I know there's some stuff that's made for TV. I was wondering how much is the dramatics on the cooking shows,
If it shows 45 minutes, how many minutes do you really have?
I know. I think that they do a good job of that. Obviously there are lots of, I've been on a few of them and been part of a lot of those. And so like some of them are a little bit more serious than others, but like if you go and you're part of the Top Chef, and like you go see what they're doing, like they're doing it by the book, and it's a real competition. People take it seriously. I think you can kind of tell when when you see the tone of the show. Some are more humorous and loose, but the serious shows are pretty serious. They yeah. And I think there's some rules with that stuff. Like if you're going to give out prizes to folks, you can't mess around too much, right? Because there's like competition involved. Didn't that guy in that game show guy go to jail for that or something? Probably.
Oh, the one on the Netflix.
That guy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. What was
Yeah.
that?
The Price is Right. The Price is Right guy.
Yeah.
No. It wasn't Bob Barker. I love that guy.
No,
He's really great.
the guy. The guy in the Price is Right.
It was Quiz Show. The name
Oh,
of it was
Quiz
called
Show,
Quiz
yeah.
Show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was a good documentary. So Bobby Flay wiped the floor with you.
Yeah.
What a great guy.
Yeah, I thought he. Yeah, I don't know. I wound up sending him an email being like, I'm sorry. He sent me such a lovely message back. He was like, as a person, in the media, sometimes people, get down on you. And I was like, oh my God, this guy thinks I'm such a jackass. It's all good.
I mean, the pomegranate and the tacos, I will say that if you did that in the state of Texas,
That's it.
It's your last
That's
time.
it. You don't come back. It's
No,
like,
you'll never come back.
So the
I
meatball shop, you have a few locations. Are you inside a few locations? That's what I read about, like in Hell's
Yeah, we got a
Kitchen.
couple locations in New York. We got a Hell's Kitchen on East Side. We had a bunch more. We closed a couple during COVID. It was New York got resized.
Yeah.
We were like, all right, everything changes around. We had a bunch of them, but we've got 2 shops in the city, and they're great, man. It's a fun place to. We started that restaurant because we wanted to have a place that was fun to work in, and that working in fancy restaurants is awesome. You work with amazing ingredients and inspiring people, but like your friends and family can't afford to eat there. And so like at the time when we were opening the meatball shop, there were great restaurants that were expensive and not great place to work, or there were like cheap restaurants that were fun to work in, but weren't really great. And our thought was like, why can't we put the same like ingredients and quality and energy into making food that is more accessible
For the
fun
masses.
us?
Yeah. I've got a famous meatball recipe as well, man.
What do you got?
It's mine. Uncle Dale's
Tell me
famous
about it.
meatballs. I have to send you the link to it. Yeah, I've always made meatballs, and so my sister-in-law that had the quintuplets from the TV show. She has a blog, and so one day people would always ask about my meatballs. So I put together I said I don't know. I don't measure stuff. Like I have a way I do my things, way I cook. And so she sat there with me and watched me cook it, and she made a like ingredients list and kind of how I did it. And so, but I got friends that text me. I have like fans of the show that message me and say they used my recipe and they liked it. So it's pretty cool.
I gotta try the recipe. That's exciting.
It's Wagyu
That's exciting for me.
meatballs, right?
I've been using Wagyu lately just because I get it.
Where do you get the Wagyu? What's that all about?
From a cow.
No, it's just a local meat market over here. Nothing crazy.
You
It's
get
just,
a good look at a T-bone steak put in your head.
yeah, but like I said, I've always cooked, man. I enjoy it. Hell, I think that's me and my mom. Me and my mom's conversations these days, as getting older, is like, hey, she's like, guess what I cooked, and she'll tell me stuff she's experimented or tried, and vice versa. So that's pretty neat. I mean, that's what I guess getting about to be 40. That's the things you get excited about.
That's nice. Better than my father. He passed away. Said his birthday's coming up, but he would. I would have to hear about the golf game. I'll tell you what.
I'm a golfer too.
Like hearing about the left hook on the third par 5 or whatever didn't really do it for me. I'd rather talk about cooking with mom.
I cook while golfing, actually.
Do you?
Yeah,
You're
I have a
cooking
George
along?
Foreman grill that goes into
I like that.
goes into a golf cart.
Those things are actually kind of good. The Ronco rotisserie, that thing is great.
Yeah.
There's like a bunch of those weird gimmicky kind of like ridiculous, like tools that actually work really well. And the George Foreman grill, that guy it works.
It was pretty successful,
it.
wildly successful, actually.
Yes.
Yeah,
Is that-
man, it
they
makes a
still
hell
sell
of a
those?
panini.
Yeah, those are.
My what's your favorite cooking? Like, what's your weirdest? I guess you use the air fryer in your kitchen.
I don't use an air fryer, but I did use a one of those Instant Pots a lot. I got one of those for free, and I started playing with it to try and learn how it works. And there's a lot of cool stuff you can do with those. But I'm like a grill over fire guy. I got a big grill in my backyard. I've got a really sick grill. It's like I built the thing. It's insane.
That's another question I was going to ask you because I heard on Rogan. One, I want to talk about how you cook your steaks. He cooks them like straight on the fire, like on the
coals.
On the coals.
Okay.
But then also, so Vaughn's an aspiring welder, and I know you're a welder.
Really?
And he builds barbecue pits. And so,
really?
Yeah. And so I remember you were telling the story about all this scrap metal, all this metal you bought to build.
I'm sitting in my house right now. If you look outside, I just got like a pile of rusting, steel. I'm building all kinds of little, but I have some, I've been playing with some like little stainless steel gadgets for cooking specific stuff. Like, make a little asparagus basket, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
I think, that's for me. Welding was like the coolest thing in the entire world. I thought that people that could melt steel and put it together was like something I always wanted to do. And I didn't realize that the actual melting the steel together is only like 2 minutes of the time.
Yeah.
And most of the time is like cutting and grinding and sanding and cleaning, which is
the unsexy part.
Cleaning off your welds. Yeah.
Like everything else in the world. But I'm still into it. I've got a little TIG set up in my garage, and I just got myself a plasma cutter. So
are you self-taught?
That's very exciting. Yeah, no, I hired an instructor 2 years ago. So I welded for years. I taught myself how to weld, and then a couple years ago, I gave myself a Christmas present. I hired a welding instructor to spend a day with me. And that I learned so much. I mean, I advanced so much further and faster than I would have ever gotten on my own, it really helped. And it was like, wasn't like the most expensive thing I've ever done.
You can get a daily rated welding instructor off the
so here's what I did. I called up, I had a guy, there was a guy that was working on one of my restaurants. He was building a glass storefront for me. And I got to talking to him. And he is an instructor at the college. He teaches the certification classes. Gotcha. And I was like, hey, man, I've always wanted. And he was like, oh, well, why don't you come down to the shop and spend a day with me? And I'll spend the day with you. And we came up with a price. And so I don't think you can get it on the internet, but I'm sure if you called around to a couple of, welding shops, you could find someone to spend the day with you.
Extra cash.
Yeah.
They'd probably take it.
Yeah.
That's what my aspirations to become I want to be semi-knowledgeable in welding.
Yeah.
I'm not ever going to be one of those professional welders by any means, but all my training comes from YouTube.
YouTube works. The only thing that I always run into the trouble with is like being able to tell the temperature of what's going on, from the videos or from books. That's where it all breaks down. Like, getting the actual voltage right, or getting the the size of the arc right, or whatever. All those like the little nuances of the stuff that I couldn't figure out, when that's what he helped me with. Like, and it was literally like, you got, throw it up 50 volts and hold the arc a little bit closer, and all of a sudden it starts working, and you're like, oh man.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I guess I don't know how to do any of that.
Yeah. But
I can put two pieces of metal together.
Do you make pits to sell, or you just made it for yourself, or how do you?
No, I make it just for myself, man.
Okay.
A couple of people told me I should start to make these barbecues for folks, but it's it's like, I'm an amateur guy. I mean, there are people that are making amazing grill setups that are professionals, and like, it's kind of, that would be like saying, oh man, that my uncle makes great muffins, he should open a bakery. It's like, no, he should not open a bakery.
Speaking of I'm glad you brought that point up about the muffins. So the failure rate in the restaurant industry is extremely high. What are the biggest contributing factors of it? It's obviously, I don't think it's going to be taste. I think it would be something outlying, but what is it? What contributes to the failure rate of them for the most part?
I think the problem is that people that get into restaurants don't really know what they're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And they just don't realize that, they think about like 3 of 20 things that are important. And so they're like, they know how to cook well, or, but opening a restaurant cash I mean, it's a really expensive. And there's a lot going on. There's a lot of equipment. There's a lot of government and regulatory agencies oversight. You know, you got to deal with, it's not just cooking, you know, it's like, I love to cook, so I cook for my family, but if I want to actually sell my food to people and get them to show up, there's the marketing of it. The number one reason is just undercapitalization, but that's like the reason every business goes under, but it's like, that's not the reason it went under. Is it ran out of money. So they never had enough money. But, you know, the other reasons are, why did they run out of money? Because the customers didn't show up, or because they didn't price their food correctly. It's a tough, I didn't think it was a tough business. Everybody tells you the restaurant business, that's a tough business. I never really knew what that meant until you try and have more than one, and you realize it's, you know, one restaurant, if you're there working there and it's for you to make a living, it's not impossible. But if you want to have multiple restaurants, or you want to make enough money to hire somebody that's good enough to manage it, or if you want to make enough money to borrow money from investors and then pay them back, that's challenging, man. It's challenging, you know?
Wow. Yeah, I figured that's what it's expensive to open it up, and you're right. A lot of business, most of them, they do undercapitalize how much they think it's going to be, and good cooks doesn't make a great business person.
I just walked through a restaurant in, you know, that we're looking at for a second pizzeria out here. And it's like, you know, $400,000 to do the construction is the construction. So that's like, not, you know, you're like, okay, well, I can bring that together, but there's almost $500,000 or $600,000 in other costs. So it's like the actual build. So people are like, oh, it's going to cost me $500,000 to open. You're like, yeah, but there's another 100% of that, another $500,000 to, you know, opening capital and training and opening inventory and all the other stuff that you need, you know, the legal fees, like, you know, there's so many different, you know, nuanced kind of like industries involved in, like, you know, you gotta just like negotiating the lease with the landlord, you know, you can open your restaurant, you can do everything right. I've got friends that have done that. And then, you know, their lease wasn't good and they get kicked out. It's just tough. Oh, it's tough business. Yeah.
So when did you open? So you got Danny Boy's famous original pizza in LA now, right?
Yep.
So you opened that during 2020, right?
Yeah, I opened that a couple years ago. The worst possible time to open a restaurant. But to my credit, I did pick the worst possible location to go along with that. we opened in like an office park at the base of this giant office building you can't get to it. It's inaccessible. So it's like it's like a food court, but no one else opened. Everybody else was like, zero chance we're opening. So I opened in there, and you couldn't get into it. I mean, the city closed it. You know, you couldn't even get inside. So I was literally just, I was like, oh, I got no customers. And there's no way for me to get a customer. And it's not even street facing. It's on the inside of like of the block. So you can't even like see it from the streets. There's no way to even know it's there.
Don't even know it's there.
Yeah. But, and all the reasons that it was such a great location, like, oh, right down the block from the museum and this and that. I was like, well, the museum's closed. But you know, it got there. It's amazing. People, man, it was a heavy lift, but it got there. It's busy now. It's fun.
So in your pizza restaurant, it's all New York style, right?
Yeah, the pizza that I grew up eating that I loved, you know, from the like 90s New York style pizzeria.
So I travel frequently. I'm a huge fan of New York style pizza. Did go to Chicago. Did try it. I'm just not on board with it.
Didn't like it.
It's just too much. It's too much. I mean,
I always tell people when they go to, I love Pequod's. That's like my Chicago spot. I think it's spectacular pizza. But I tell everybody, wait till the end of the trip, because it's like I just got heartburn when I said that word. I was like Pequod's. I was like, oh. Like I feel fat. It's delicious, but it is a gut bomb, man. It's gotta be the last meal you eat before you go home.
Yeah.
You eat that first, it'll ruin your whole trip.
Ugh.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
nothing but cheese
I
and
never had it.
dough. It's just like thick.
It's a pie. It's
Yeah,
a cheese pie.
It's a pie.
It's
That's
a
exactly
cheese
what
pie.
it is.
It's for real.
Yeah, New York style pizza is definitely my thing.
I love New York style pizza.
Uh,
Onions and jalapenos.
yep.
Ooh.
So you're looking to open a second location for Danny Boys?
Yeah, we're looking at it. I've been, man, when I opened the Meatballs in New York and I was kind of like young and excited about it. I was like, we're going to be billionaires. We're going to have 100 restaurants. And I kind of lost sight of the reason that I loved working in the restaurant and what I wanted to be doing. And I thought I was kind of playing business guy. And I don't know. It wasn't I built a job for myself that I didn't love doing. And so this time around, I promised myself I'd be a little bit more thoughtful. And, it's tough to go from one restaurant where you're there every day and you know the customers and your crew. It's fun. You work in a restaurant, you're like super tight with the crew,
Yeah.
You have a great time. So I'm thinking about opening another restaurant. I've been looking. I was talking to a couple of landlords, but I'm not 100% yet that I want to pull that trigger.
Dude, all your new restaurants, you normally just look in New York and LA specifically, or how's it
No, I didn't plan on having a restaurant in LA until I moved out here. I lived out here years ago and I love LA. So, and I live here and I've got a beautiful little house here. And this is home base now. So it made sense for me to have a restaurant here, but I'm partnered with a restaurant with a chef, one of my dear friends, a chef up in Oakland. And we've got a couple little restaurants up there that we opened together. Called Itani Ramen and Yonsei Hand Roll. And Yonsei Hand Roll is actually doing really well. We just opened it this year. So I love the opportunity to travel. I'm actually working on a thing in Vegas with another friend of mine. I like partnering with people that are people that are fun to work with.
Yeah.
And as you get older, you get family. There's no time to spend with your friends. You don't have time to hang out, and having a business with people that you enjoy spending time with is a great excuse for me to spend time with them and learn together and do cool shit and get to hang out. So,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. I like to,
You ever come to Texas?
So the last time I was in Texas I was in Austin.
We did Rogan yet.
And when I did Rogan, I haven't been back since then.
So where's the barbecue
Man.
joint you went to the Terry Black's? Is that what's it called?
I did go to Terry Black's. I went to Love Barbecue. Interstellar was on my list, but I didn't make it.
Interstellar's
And,
phenomenal.
Yeah. There's so many great spots, man. It's
know.
unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean,
We got some good spots just here in the Houston area, Houston Heights area. But I know that last time I was in Austin, I was in Round Rock. I went to the Salt Lick, the smaller one. Man, like I said, but dude, you can't beat it, man. I just
Salt Lick is so cool when you see that giant fire and it's a cool spot.
yeah.
It's a cool spot. But the problem with you guys and your barbecue is that it just ruins you. Like, you go and get brisket at a place out here. Although it's kind of like pizza in LA. Like pizza in LA used to not be great, and now there's a bunch of great spots, and there are some great barbecue spots. There are a couple people doing really good barbecue. I think the thing that you guys have going on though is you guys have the clientele also, because barbecue is so much about like the time it takes to get from the grill to your hand. It's like comes off the smoker, goes right in your hand, and it's delicious.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you need a line of people ready to eat it right then.
Yeah.
To get it great. So that's a challenge we have.
Yeah,
here.
I mean, Texas is obviously known for barbecue and brisket specifically. One thing I've noticed traveling around the country is tri-tip is huge outside of the state of Texas.
Really?
Yeah, it's like their brisket almost.
Yeah, but I think of tri-tip more like a, they don't serve it like slow cooked that like a brisket where it's cooked for. Yeah, it's more like a grill than a barbecue traditional. They got Kansas City ribs, which are, Kansas City. Those ribs are delicious, but I still think the chicken and even the ribs in Texas, you guys just know how to barbecue. It's just the thing you do, Guys sit around drinking beer and, killing beef. It's good.
Yeah.
Dude, you ain't lying. Yeah. You eat any exotic animals?
Have I eaten? I've had a little antelope here and there, and I've traveled around the world to eat some. You know, I've been to Japan and Italy and eaten some little horse, but not a lot of crazy. Some kangaroo, some alligator.
You ate horse?
Oh yeah, absolutely. They have a lot of raw horse. I had a lot of raw horse in Japan, and I ate a lot of they've got like special horse butchers in Italy, a lot of horse charcuterie. I mean, you know, the thing about all those animals is there's a reason that people eat pigs, chickens, and cows, right? And then lamb. And that's like in that order or something like that. It's like we eat the most pigs because they're the most delicious. And then we eat the chickens. It's like between the price to grow them versus the deliciousness factor. You know, when people ask me, they're like, "Oh, I went to this great goat restaurant. Do you like goat?" I'm like, "Yeah, I like goat. I've had some very delicious goat." But there's a reason that in every country where they can either afford to or have the the pasture land, or for whatever reason they're able to eat something other than goat, they don't eat goat. They eat all the other stuff first, right?
Yeah.
So it's like zebra's good. It's good.
Yeah.
but it ain't chicken, because if it was chicken, we'd be eating zebra every single day.
That's a good way to look at it.
I never eat zebra.
Most
So I can't really speak.
Most goat restaurants that fail, they're pretty bad.
Hey,
Don't clap for him. Don't clap.
that was a phenomenal. That was a phenomenal job.
Hey, if you ever get a chance to eat some nilgai, make sure to try that.
Yeah?
Yeah,
Tell me
dude,
about it.
So nilgai is from the antelope family. These are, you have to look them up. They're 500-pound animals. So the company I work for, the owner of mine has a lease down in South Texas, and you chase them in these trucks with freaking you drinking on the back of these things, and you chase them. It's like safari style. And then, but man, they're huge animals. They look like
You just run them over, or do you
no.
jump out and
No,
tackle
these things.
them? Or-
No, you got to shoot them on the run. They run
you
like
gotta
30
shoot
miles an hour, so they're
Really?
huge. Yes, they got big lung capacity, so they can run forever. And so we do that. But man, the meat is phenomenal, man. Some of the best. Like during 2020 is when I killed the one I had, and I got like 4 boxes of meat, like almost 300 something pounds of meat between everything I got. And so I cooked a lot of that during quarantine. Man, I tell you what, that's the best. That's better than any beef I've ever ate.
I'm excited to try some nilgai, although I don't even know where I would go about finding myself.
Yeah, you could. Just look it up. I'm sure you could find some spots. I know. I've heard,
Exotic butcher shops. Have
yeah,
it.
man, I tell you what, it's delicious, man. I'm telling you, it's a very lean meat. But I did that when I cooked the stew with the roast. I cut it up. It looked like high grade tuna because it's so lean.
Really?
But I used my Instant Pot to cook it down a little bit to make it a little tender before I made the stew because of how lean it was. But dude,
So a little pressure cooker action.
I did that after I browned it a little bit, put it in there and cooked it down in there for a while to help break it down some, because I was worried about if I cooked it normal stew, one of the potatoes would have been mush by then. But they kind of helped the process. But man, I tell you what, you got to try some of that.
You know what you're doing.
Yeah. Hey, man.
You're cooking. Yeah. The air traffic control is the hardest part, man. When to put the potatoes in.
Yep.
That's it.
That's tough, man. My dad taught me a lot about cooking, man. But I'll still call him, hey, man, I'm doing this. What'd you think? And he'll kind of walk me.
Where'd he grow up?
Louisiana.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great cooks.
Yeah,
Great
man.
cuisine.
Yeah. You ever cooked any Cajun food?
A little bit. You know, I spent a good amount of time down in Louisiana, and
What parts?
you know, mostly New Orleans. I mean, I've driven all the way through the state, so I've been across, but most of my time has been spent in New Orleans. But you know, it's like one of the places in the country as a young aspiring cook.
Yeah.
That's like,
There's a lot of culture down there.
it's one of the places that has a really, really strong, unique cuisine of one of the kind of like cuisines that the whole world knows. Right?
Yeah.
And amazing. And it's got a culture of great cooks, right? Like you're either a musician or a cook, or you're, I don't know, or an oil tycoon. Those are your 3 choices.
Yeah. So they have a cook. I don't know if you're familiar with. I have a buddy of mine that's actually he started on YouTube. His name was Cajun Ninja. don't know if you heard his name.
The Cajun Ninja.
So you said you have a cookbook collection. I'm gonna send you his new cookbook. I got an extra one of his. I'm gonna get that to you to add to your collection. But man, I tell you what, he's got a big he's got like 1 million something followers on Facebook. He's got a big YouTube following. He makes he just started making he always did things, and then he made a gumbo, and it went viral. Like him showing him cooking his gumbo, and his claim to his little thing that's cool. He puts his his cutting board down. He has his holy trinity far as the celery, bell pepper, and onions,
green onion.
Yep, and so he's a Taekwondo black belt as well. So he karate chops it, and it cuts to all the stuff's diced up. So that's kind of like his little thing.
That's his thing.
Yeah. So, but he has a cookbook came out, so I'm gonna get you a copy of that so you can check it out. But man, he's got some really great Cajun. He's from South Louisiana, so got a good following, personality guy, and he's pretty cool, man.
Good guy, great cook.
Yeah, yeah, great cook.
I like gumbo. You can't get I don't think we use tasso for that. You can't get tasso out here.
I don't put tasso in there. I use more tasso. And when I cook down white beans and stuff like that, it's a good flavor for that. Yeah.
I don't even know what tasso is.
Instead of like a ham hock, I'd use tasso. But growing up, my grandma would have it. We would cut it up and eat it just as a snack. I mean, that's just, you can get it at the stores here in Texas.
Tasso's like a cured pork product.
Yeah.
Okay.
Salt, like a salt cured pork product, but it's got a really distinct kind of like herby flavor.
Mm-hmm. You can do a lot of stuff with
herby flavor.
Yeah.
See, you learn something new every day in the chef game.
Yeah.
Hey man, there's a lot to learn, man. But yeah, I was curious if you did any Cajun food, because like I said, that's just something that I've done my whole life. But I try to cook all kind of things, but it's kind of what we were.
Yeah, we had a jambalaya meatball that was pretty popular at the meatball shop. That was our nod to something southern, but it was not the most popular meatball. I thought it was delicious.
Can you
still not the most popular?
Can you order your meatballs online?
Oh yeah, you can get them from. Hold on a second. Come inside. Sorry. My wife is baby. We're chatting. I mean, I'm recording for a podcast, but yeah, you have to be silent. Tell the dog not to bark. What was the question?
I was talking about your meatballs. You can get them. You can get them shipped.
Oh yeah, you can get them on Goldbelly. Goldbelly's pretty cool. They got a bunch of different restaurants. You can get Franklin Barbecue on Goldbelly. You can get a whole brisket. That's a cool company. They get go to a bunch of restaurants and get and ship their signature dishes around the country. It's pretty cool.
Okay.
But you could get the Meatball Shop cookbook. The truth of the matter is the meatballs are pretty simple to make. People should make their own meatballs. You use the cookbook, or the reality is if you go on Google and search for Daniel Holzman meatballs, you probably find the recipes for free.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm not gonna, I get like $3 a book. It's not really gonna make or break me. It's not gonna be the thing. I would rather you guys cook than makes me happy.
Man, that goes to show how much you do love cooking if you're willing to give away profit for people to cook.
I do love to cook.
He loves it.
Yeah, man. It's I think, and I also, more importantly, I like to know, the more people are out there cooking, the better it is for all of us. It's good ingredients are expensive because they're rare, and then the more people that use them, the more the farmers are incentivized to grow them, and then the more abundant they are, and the less expensive they become. And it's just, the more people are into it, the better it is for everybody. Like, good olive oil has got an expert. Fish is the pits, man. That's the one that really kills me. Like, you travel around to these third world countries, and they got these extraordinary fish markets with incredible diversity of beautiful seafood that's fresh.
Yeah.
And in America, you go to the supermarket, and man, the truth of the matter is there's a lot of subpar product in the supermarket, and it's a bummer because I love cooking fish.
Yeah.
So
I've
the
been
more
on
people
salmon
cook
kick.
fish, the better for us. Salmon's the best because it's available. Everybody loves it, right? And so you can get fresh salmon almost anywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love salmon too. How do you cook it?
Man, I usually, so you know what I did my last time was I made a orange marmalade soy mix.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually basted it with air, and I actually did it in the air fryer. And so it kind of chars a little bit on the outside, on the top, and it cooked it well. I would just baste it every once in a while with the sauce, and it was easy. It stays hot, and I can regulate it, get it to my temperature. I check my temp, and then pull it out.
Salmon's really fatty fish. So, you know, fat, when you eat something and it's like moist, it's mostly fat. It's not like water that's making it moist. Like if you think about it, like you can, you know, like chicken, the chicken and chicken soup that's so dry, like that's moist, it's wet.
Yeah.
You know, chicken's wet, but it still tastes dry because it's the fat that makes stuff taste moist.
Yeah.
That's why you have mayonnaise to tuna salad or chicken salad. And salmon's got a lot of fat. You can see those white lines, that intramuscular fat, almost like a prime beef ribeye
Like
or
marbled,
something like that. And so it gets super moist, and it's really it's forgiving because of that. Like other fish, you know, if you overcook it, it's just tastes like dry dust. And salmon steak, but so salmon's a great one. Salmon's a great one. I like to broil. I like to broil my salmon.
Yeah. I've done that too.
Same thing as the air fryer. It just gives it that little bit of
that's
crust.
that's why I did the air fryer, just because I was like, man, it's simple, and you get some instant little char on the edges, which is always nice on salmon.
I gotta get myself an air fryer. My wife's been talking about it. I just don't have that much counter space. You know, we're not in Texas here, man.
Yeah.
I only got so much space.
We got big homes here.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got it.
What are your thoughts on this the sous vide?
So
is it boiling?
So as
meat
I said,
don't entertain this asshole with this.
No, what I was gonna look, you know, I worked in some fancy restaurants along the way, and I have a sous vide machine, and I'm down to Cryovac. Actually, I do my turkey almost every year that way. It's one of the best ways. You take the turkey breasts, and you know, sous vide means like cooking it in a vacuum, they call it, but like, you know, you cook it in a warm bath that's just the right temperature. I use, rather than buying the expensive bags, you could just double Ziploc bag
That's
it.
what I do.
You know, take a freezer bag, works great. I think it's a great tool for a lot of different things. But as I said in the beginning, like I like to cook a steak right on the fire. It's fun for me. I love that like visceral experience of the direct fire cooking or offset smoke. But sous vide is great, man. It's super convenient if you've got to do, like, I love it for Thanksgiving because my mom is always arguing over using the oven for cooking the pies. You know, and then everybody got their leftovers. They're like, someone brings their shitty mushroom casserole and they want to put it in the oven. And you're like, yo, man, I'm trying to cook my turkey here. So I'm like, I just gave up on using the oven for turkey because I'm like, I'm the chef. I'll figure it out. And so I think that sous vide is great. And I've also, you know, a big piece of meat, like a thin steak, come on. But a big, thick piece of meat, it's challenging to get that temperature right. And it takes a long time. You got to cook it low and slow, and then you got to let it rest for a long time. That's a challenging thing to do. And the sous vide can get you there a lot faster. So I think it has its place. Yeah. It's just like not for everything. It's
like
not
if you want to boil your meat, you sous vide.
He's such a jerk. Dude, I make some great fillets, and then I hammer them at the end on my cast iron, and dude, I'm telling you, they're money.
You hate the sous vide, but I don't know.
No, I'm not a sous vide hater. I'm not.
He cooks with an easy bake oven. He's a pellet grill.
You know what I'm tired of hearing about from the sous vide crowd is, I'm a big steak guy. I love steaks. I always hear, oh yeah, if you sous vide them, it's the best steak you'll ever have. I completely disagree that that's the best steak you'll ever have if you boil it in water. Completely disagree. And I don't think people that actually sous vide steaks really believe that, but they bought the contraption. And
I didn't buy mine. It was mom's gift.
Okay, but most normal people buy the contraption, and they really want to make sure that they have the positive affirmation that it makes sense to have it.
I haven't cooked.
My brother uses his immersion circulator. I went in he's got a kiddie pool, and he had this immersion circulator stuck in there heating it, and the kids were all swimming in there. I looked and I was like, I'm pretty sure if that thing falls in the water, you're gonna have
zap them.
Not gonna be good for the kids, but pretty great use. I was like, this is a great use for an immersion circulator.
That's funny.
Hey, so I got a new segment here, sponsored by our podcast sponsor, Good Ranchers. This is actually a question Vaughn usually asks. If you could eat one meal for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Yeah, and there's some caveats to this.
Okay.
It has to be one meal for the rest of your life. It can't change. So you can't say burritos because you can get to multiple types. It has to be the exact same thing, breakfast, lunch, and dinner the rest of your life.
Oh, man. Oh man, for the rest of my life. Well, you could choose a food that would shorten your lifespan, which could make it more pleasurable.
This is thinking outside of the box. This is what I love.
That's the first time
One
somebody said
meal
that.
for the like uranium would be my one and only meal for the rest of my life.
Okay, I got to take that one out of the questioning.
think,
Uranium's not edible.
I think that shucks, I'd have a hard, I can eat steak breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I really can. I can eat a ribeye steak breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So I come home sometimes and I put I have a tendency. I have great ribeye steaks in the freezer, and I'll throw them right under the broiler, just from frozen, and it just grills perfectly with the crust. Is delicious, and I'll eat those for breakfast. Like when my wife's out of town, and so there's no one to judge me. I'll eat a steak for breakfast. I will. I would normally say I'd eat chicken parmesan and cookies and cream ice cream. That would be my meal. It would be chicken parmesan, then cookies and cream ice cream. But the reality is, I think if it really came down to it, I'd eat steak every day for the rest of my life. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
It's a great way to be. What about you're on death row, tonight's your night, your final meal. What is it?
That would be the chicken parmesan, cookies and cream ice cream.
Is there a certain
down.
chicken parmesan, or is it your chicken parmesan?
Death row. I've done something really, really terrible.
Yeah.
You're not allowed to have an oven, so don't say your own.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
We're not trying to give you some rights before you die.
He'll go to Gold
Where's
Belly.
the best?
Going to Gold Belly.
Yeah, Gold Belly. Get my own. Call him up.
Yeah.
Man. Wow. What? How great would that be? One last meal. You get to choose. Most of us don't get to choose, It's a surprise.
Yeah. That's a surprise. That's true. Dude, that's a great way to look at things.
Hey.
Hey, you're really thinking outside the box here.
Very positive. Very positive.
Hey, so real quick, man, just so we can, we're getting close to wrapping this up for you, man. Like, so how'd the Rogan thing come about? Because for me, I learned about you, which is awesome. We're here with you now from that.
My partner, Matt Robart, who's my writing partner in the Food IQ, he was like, yo, man, why don't you go on Joe Rogan and help us, sell this book? And I was like, we had a bunch of stuff in common because I wrestled jiu-jitsu, and, he was like, why don't we, I was like, I didn't know him. I was like, I don't know that guy. And so he reached out to him and it was so great because he was just like, hey man, my partner has got this book. We wrote this book. And he's a black belt in jiu-jitsu. He's blah, blah, blah. And he's got a couple friends in common. And he just sent him a message back. Said, yeah, sounds great. When do you want to come on?
Holy
I was
crap.
like, it was really, really amazing. The guy's like so down to, he's both, he's hard to get to because there's a bunch of wackos that are just crazy fans that are just down to like tackle him. So he's just got surrounded by special forces dudes, actually, like surrounded by special forces dudes. But he's very down to earth. It's just such a straightforward, nice guy.
So did your friend know him prior to, or your?
No, I think that he, it's my writing partner. He's the editor of like a food magazine, and so I think that he had connection to him through that, and so he knew, had his contact, maybe through his publicity company or something, was able to connect with him.
Well, what a huge honor to do that. That's pretty cool.
It was unbelievable, man. People are, man, his fans are just so supportive,
So I listened to you, like I said, I heard you the day that one came out. I listened to, then yesterday I re-listened to your episode just to catch up on some stuff that I heard, just to hear it again, man. But it was a great episode. Like I said, I was intrigued with it, not knowing you from before, and it was cool that we connected after I got your book and stuff like that. So and you're here today with us. It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, we're not as big as Joe Rogan, but I tell you what, we're funnier.
We're coming.
Yeah, there's twosies.
Twosies
guys.
Yeah,
double the trouble. Twosies.
Yeah.
The only thing that makes me sad is that we're not able to hang out. This is like, this is great that we can do a computerized virtual communication, but be nice to be able to sit around and eat a steak and have the conversation.
Dude, it'd be nice to have a meal.
I mean, we're not confined to this here studio.
Yeah.
We can always
We can
come
fly
out.
anywhere.
Yeah, wherever you
love
want
it.
us
Hey,
to go.
we're gonna have to plan a trip to LA soon. Anyway, we need to bring our wives there. But if we do, I'll hit you up. We'll come try out Danny Boys.
And we got to go to Huntington Beach, and that's not too far. I
Yep.
guess.
Not too far at all. I'd love to buy you guys a slice of pizza. That'll make
Need-
me very
Man,
happy.
I would love
I need to do that. I need to. I know you got some merch on your Danny Boys on your website as well. I need to check that out. I like that hat you have. It's pretty sweet.
I love that hat, man. We sell so many of those hats. It's unbelievable. Although I don't know how long that's gonna last. I don't even know if I should say this. I can't say this.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't say it. I better.
So you're saying I should buy one?
You better get. I
Get
think
one
you
quick.
better buy that hat like right now.
We
That's
won't
gonna
tell
be done.
anyone.
Hey, Andy's got a chain with a diamond encrusted pizza.
Oh,
slice
this thing is for real, dude.
Dude, that
this
thing's
thing is
dope,
great.
man.
That's not going anywhere.
I love that.
Diamonds and rubies.
I love that.
You're like a Ninja Turtle.
Yeah.
You're
Yo,
right.
so how about this? If you'll send me your ninja cookbook, and I'll send you Cajun Ninja cookbook, and I'll send you my I'll send you a couple hats, and we'll call it square.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I would love that.
I love
I'll
that.
message you after this. I'll get your thing. Yeah, I want you to have that cookbook, man. I want you to add to your deal.
It'll be up on the shelf.
Yeah, he's a super cool dude, and I think if you his gumbo is one of my favorites. So it'd be a good one for you to try it one day if you ever want to try it.
And I'll give you feedback because that's my favorite thing to do.
Yeah,
I love the gumbo.
Love that
Good, man. Well, we appreciate. It's been an hour, dude. This actually flew by, man. We appreciate you taking the time out for us.
for sure.
I thank my wife. She's waiting to have dinner.
Yeah.
Is she cooking?
No, we're going out. We're gonna be fun.
Oh, nice.
I really appreciate you guys having me on. Very cool.
Yeah, man.
Absolutely.
This
Very
is
cool.
gonna drop next Tuesday. So like I said, once we do that, I'll message you, I'll tag you on socials when we get this going, and you'll see it. And so if you want to share it, please do, man. We'll get everything going. It'll be
I
live.
absolutely will.
Yeah.
100%.
But yeah, man, Chef Daniel Holzman, we appreciate you jumping on the Dale Not Dale podcast.
Absolutely, we're honored.
Gentlemen, Dale, not Dale. It's been a pleasure.
Absolutely. Have a good one.
Later, dude. Bye.
Be well, guys.
Rude.